heading out to a remote canyon east of Phoenix, Arizona that I have been itching to fly my drone down into. I've pulled it up on Google Earth before, and as beautiful as it is, it also gave me the creeps, which of course that only fuels my drive to see what's down in there. The road out to this location is mostly smooth, but there were certain parts of it that my car didn't like, so I parked it and I unloaded the e-bike instead. The last couple days out here were snowy, rainy, gloomy, and borderline depressing, but today it's nothing but sunny skies and an open desert waiting to be explored.
We finally made it to our first viewing point out at Devil's Canyon. I'm going to get my drone up here in just a second and fly it down there and see what we can find. And then I might try riding further up the trail here and see if there's a better viewing point, because once I fly it around this little hill right here, I'm probably going to lose signal. We just got to be extremely careful because there's power lines here and you can hear them buzzing too. Well, isn't that just the perfect place to launch a drone? Awesome.
On another day, I would have loved to hike through this canyon, but when I do solo hikes, I try not to go too far off the beaten path, especially when the area that I'm hiking is named something like the Devil's Canyon. I've seen way too many movies and read too many online articles and books by David Paulides to know you don't go too far into places like this by yourself. Not to mention the strange phenomena of events that tend to take place around areas with the name Devil in it. Now, this might be a little over some people's heads, but there have been a number of documented incidents of strange things happening at places with the name Devil in it, such as experienced hikers and outdoorsmen that go missing without a trace, cryptid sightings, strange sounds, unexplainable orbs of light, and children going missing and later being found miles away from where they were with no memory of how they got there. Now, I could do a whole video on this subject, but that's for another day. I did do a video on this in the past, and if you do want to check that one out, I will link it down in the description. And I am by no means saying strange things happen at this location, but it's why I'm extra cautious. But is it just me, or do some of these rock formations kind of give off a creepy vibe? I didn't see anything too interesting on that flight that I could send my drone to, like any car wrecks or caves, which is what I'm typically looking for. Nonetheless, it was an absolutely gorgeous flight. Now, to our next destination. As we make our way back to the main trailhead, I figured I'd give you guys a quick demonstration on how exactly I get my drone to follow me. And this is a very popular question that I always see in the comments, so here it goes. The handsome fella that you see right there, that's me. And on my remote, I'm going to drag my finger across the screen right over me, which highlights the subject and lets the drone know what to follow. Next, we tap on Active Track, which is the follow mode, and we're already recording, so we're good to go there. Now we're going to check the location icon and make sure the drone is right behind me. And this little symbol right here indicates where the drone is. And because we already have it right where we want it, we can take off and the drone will follow right behind. And it will also stay at this altitude unless I change it from the remote. As my drone gets closer to the trees, you'll see some red and orange indicators pop up on the screen. Unless, of course, you're blind, then you won't. But then again, if you're blind, you shouldn't be flying a drone. Anyway, these indicators just mean that the drone is detecting obstacles, and it's going to stay away from them. So far, it's been doing a pretty good job. It did come close a few times, but the software in the drone did its thing, and I was going slow enough, allowing enough time for the software to detect objects and carefully veer around them. And by the way, the drone I'm using for this video is the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and I'll link that one down in the description in case you want to check it out.
I was out at this location about 10 months ago, and I was doing some exploring with my drone, and somewhere down there, I saw an old stone building and a couple old corrals. I'm assuming it was probably from back in the late early 1900s, based off of what I know about the area, and I've always wanted to walk down there and check it out and see what else I can find. So, we are going to stash the e-bike, I'm going to grab a Diet Coke, and we're going to make our way down there. Let's go. want to say it's down there. It's pretty overgrown compared to the last time I was out here. But what I think I'm going to do is try to pull it up on Google Maps on my phone. I mean, I could go looking for it, but I don't want to keep wasting time taking turn after turn after turn, so that way I can explore some more stuff.
Before I whipped out my phone, I decided to give it one last honest try. I really didn't want to have to use GPS to find it because that just takes all the fun out of it. I remember it being very close to the road, so I just kept on hiking, and this is what happened next.
We made it, we made it, we made it. Ow. No good deed goes unpunished. It looks like people do come out here because there's a little bit of a beaten down path. Wow, that's bigger than I thought. You can see this from Google Maps. Of course, it looks very tiny, but when you get here in person, it's pretty big. We always want to approach structures like this very quietly and slowly. You never know who or what could be hiding in them. Wow! Look at that old fireplace. Assuming nobody's messed with these, it actually looks like they're holding up pretty well. Look at that foundation right there. It's pretty defined. We're gonna go slow. Stomp a little bit, make sure there's nothing in here. How about that? Years and years of wear and tear and hanging out in the desert. All things considered, this is holding up pretty well. Every single rock was hand placed. That is so cool.
Based off of my findings that you'll see here in the next few minutes and what I know from previous visits, it's safe to say this stone building was part of a ranch and could be up to 100 years old. This style of build is known as slip-form masonry and was common in the early 1900s. With the abundance of rocks in the area, as you can see, they didn't take too long to construct, and being that material was readily available, labor cost was low, and after filling the gaps in between the stones with concrete, one would have a durable stone cabin keeping you cool in the summer and warm in the winter.
I was walking around over here just checking out the area some more, and I happened to stumble upon a foundation. I tell you what, if you wanted to find rattlers, that is the best place to find them. They're probably nestled under there, all huddled up, staying warm, staying away from big scary creatures like myself. I'm not that scary. Looks like the trail picks up over here. There's a couple more fence posts down there. Oh my God! Check this out! That is a long way down there. Maybe like 8 feet or so. Gotta be careful, don't want to drop my camera. Hello! Are there any Lucky Charms down there? Any 4-leaf clovers? Doesn't that stone kind of look like a giant, footprint? Maybe it's Bigfoot's. If I didn't have so much gear with me, I would totally try to bring that back with, because that is so cool. Compared to my size 10.5.
After checking out the wishing well, I started to make my way towards another stone structure that I spotted the last time I was out here, but I wasn't having the best of luck.
Well, I'm not having any luck finding that old stone corral on foot here. There's a lot of brush compared to last time. So I'm gonna cheat and get the drone up in the air, and I bet we'll find it within like 45 seconds. All right, drone, the future of this video is dependent on you. Go find it.
And literally within a few seconds, I found what I was looking for. It was only about 100 feet away, but I would rather use the drone to find it quicker than burn daylight looking for it on foot.
Now we're here, or at least we're pretty close. Oh, that connects to the same one. This just stretches for quite a ways. You'd almost think these were ancient ruins if you didn't know that they were built by ranchers back in the early 1900s. Would have taken a hell of a long time to haul each and every one of these little stones. I guess a lot of people do come out here. There's quite a few footprints and beer cans, unfortunately.
Back in those days, ranchers would use rocks to separate their pastures and to define property lines. Just like that stone cabin, the rocks were free and there were plenty of them, and it was a more cost effective option compared to using fencing materials.
Funny thing is, there's actually hundreds of feet of those old stone walls way up there. I've made a video on that before, so if you guys want to see that, I'll put a card in the upper right hand corner, and I'll also link it down in the description. But I'll show you a few seconds of footage from my last trip out here.
Now, I'm sure they had multiple people out here putting together these stone fences, because it would have been way too much work for one person to place these together, one stone at a time. But I would bet my money that once these were completed, they were probably built like brick houses. What you see here is not some Blair Witch voodoo stonework. What this is a check dam, and in areas where there is irregular rainfall, ranchers would build these to slow the flow of water, prevent erosion, and grow vegetation. These are scattered all over the place, but these were some of the bigger ones that I found. There's a thing you know.
Normally I would say we gotta watch where we walk because if this ground is really soft, it could sink in and get stuck. But I don't think they got enough rain or snow for us to worry about that. It's probably been sitting here for the past 100 years or so.
Before I went back to my car to check out the next spot, I did some riding around on my e-bike to see what else is out here. Whenever I'm out making these videos, it's always important to remember to take in the surroundings and enjoy your time outdoors. That, and it was an absolutely gorgeous day out. Even though it was the end of January in Arizona, to me it felt like early fall back in Minnesota, and that fresh air felt amazing. The e-bike that I've been using throughout today's journey is the Trek Marlin 6 Plus. It's a great bike for the best of both worlds, meaning it's great for smooth surfaces like roads, sidewalks, and bike paths, and it also handles really well on the rugged off-road terrain. It's always important to wave hello to everyone when you're out biking, whether it's a vehicle, joggers, or other bikers. You never know who's a serial killer these days, and my philosophy is if we cross paths again someday and they end up going on a giant killing spree with a chainsaw, maybe they'll spare me because I was nice enough to wave. You never know.
I know a lot of you guys always ask about the gear that I use, and this is my GoPro / chest harness setup that I have. I'll link all of this stuff down in the description below. Yep, she ain't going anywhere.
The bridge you see here is Pinto Creek Bridge and was originally built in 1949, connecting Highway 60 from one side of the canyon to the other, and it was later replaced in 2021. I was really hoping that we were going to find something down at the bottom of Pinto Creek, perhaps a car, a body, or maybe even a mountain lion getting a drink of water. But we didn't find Jack. Right as I was getting ready to bring my drone back in, I spotted an old road up on the hill. Now, I didn't think anything of it at first, but then I realized this was part of the old Highway 60, aka Arizona's $1 million highway. This was right before they put in the new road and bridge in the late 1940s. I did a video on that part of Arizona's $1 million highway last year, and if you guys want to check that out, I'll link that one down in the description. But I think we're going to have to come back out here and explore the rest of this old highway. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments section if you think we should come back. I've drove by this area probably hundreds of times over the last few years, and have always been curious as to what might be lurking down in these ditches. It was starting to cool off and the sun was getting ready to depart, but I wanted to get one last flight in for the evening, and this is what I found. If you guys have any idea about what make and model these vehicles are, feel free to let me know down in the comments section. Now, if you enjoyed this week's video and you aren't ready for the fun to be over just yet, you can grab a coffee, a donut, or a glass of wine and click the next video to keep the party going.